Sylvain, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me this morning, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. But before we jump right into our conversation, I do want to give you an opportunity to share with the listeners what it is that you do and what's brought you here this morning.
For Kevin, I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Yes.
Thanks for inviting me for the show. I'm really excited to share a little bit our approach. If I can talk about me, I come from France, moved to Canada 12 years ago now, and I was physiotherapist and osteopath in France. And when I moved here in Canada, I really focused on the osteopathy side, and I opened a clinic here in Moncton, New Brunswick, 12 years ago now. And at the beginning, I was by myself. Now we are almost 11 between the support staff and the people. And we have a team approach with chiropractor, massage therapy, soft tissue specialist, and osteopath. And we take care of people from 0 to 100 years old. It's pretty large for what we can do.
Yeah.
But my approach as a physiotherapist was too much symptomatic. I was as well looking at the symptom. When I moved to osteopathy, I understood that the body is connected from the head to the toe and have a complete approach. And with my last few years of self-discovery, I understood that the mindset and nutrition is part of the game. And we try to integrate all that when we see a patient. We have online program to support them when they leave the clinic. We have a team approach with a soft tissue specialist, chiropractor, osteopath to really have tailor-made a, a program to help the patient to feel better. But as I said, our care doesn't stop when the patient is leaving. We are really looking at following the patient, because often people they just not listen, but they just remember 30% of what we say during a session. And with our online program to support their health, we can definitely see an improvement in their everyday habit, because it's changing your everyday habit which is going to change your health. It's not the miracle touch of the therapist. I'm sure it's working because I'm doing that since years, but the work we do after, it's really important. It's why we developed this online platform to help patients to have access to article, ebook, e-course, video course, many things to help them to feel better. And I really like this complete approach of health, where we take the patient not for the symptom, but from inside and outside.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing all that. And what I'm hearing from you is it's fairly holistic, right? You're not just focusing on one thing, you're bringing in other elements here to help the patient with their recovery or whatever they might be dealing with. Now, just for listeners and myself, are you able to expand around, because chiropractic and physiotherapy, most people are familiar with, but osteopathy, can you expand on that a little bit and share with us what that entails?
Yeah, definitely. The beginning of the osteopathy is in the beginning of the 90 or 80. It was a physician in US. He had few rules, and one of the biggest rule is the arteries are king. And if we can improve the blood flow in the system, we can help the body to heal by itself. But we understood in osteopathy that the symptom is often just the visible part of the iceberg. And when the patient is coming for a back pain, for example, we have a really more, I will say, holistic approach, but we are really looking for, if I talk about my story and why I jumped in osteopathy, when I was physiotherapy, if I had a patient came for a sciatica pain, lower back,
Yeah.
feeling in the leg, and I think many people have that. And I was just new from the physiotherapy school. I opened my book about sciatica pain in physiotherapy, and I tried everything with her. I'm sorry, but I don't know if she remember me, but she was my guinea pig a little bit, because I tried everything I can. And
Sure.
after 10 sessions, pain was not done, still painful. The pain was going better for 2, 3 days, 1 week, but she was coming back and the pain. And I was a little bit frustrated because when I finished my physiotherapy study, I was a good student and I was thinking, man, I will save the world. I'm the best one
Mhm.
on the, and maybe a ego thing. And I was chatting with one of my colleagues and I said, okay, I'm stuck. I tried everything with this patient, nothing worked. Can you help me on this one? And this therapist, this Claire, was doing her osteopathy study at the same time. She was
Mhm.
physiotherapist and doing her osteopathy study. And she said, just send me the patient and I will see what can I do. Okay. I sent the patient and in only 2 sessions, the pain was gone. And I said, okay, I was a little bit sad. Say, what did I miss? Maybe my assessment is not the right one, or maybe my technique is not the right one. And I was questioning and I went back to Claire and said, okay, explain. And he said this patient had a bad ankle injury 2 years ago. And the foot was not moving correctly on the ground. And because of that, her back was flaring up. And I said, okay, but why did I miss? So you didn't miss anything. You are looking at the symptom. I'm looking at the root cause of the problem. And I just said, okay, let's jump on that. And I went to do my osteopathy study. I did some manual therapy because I was thinking that just cracking bones will make the job, but there is way more things than cracking bones when joined. There is the fascia, the visceral area, the cranial, the nerves. I remember a patient, she was close to die because she can't eat anymore. And because she has stomach issue, she was vomiting everything she was eating. She had 15 years old. She was like that for 18 months. And I tried to say, okay, what's the nerves who can increase the inflammation in the stomach? And talk to her. She had a horse fall. She fell from a horse
Yeah.
and she had just the basis of the neck, the skull blocked, and it's irritating the vagus nerve. And because
Yeah.
of that, each time she was eating, she was vomiting. We did one session and she was done
Yeah. Yeah.
and no vomiting anymore because we are not looking at the symptom. We are trying to understand the root cause of the problem. And
Yeah.
chiropractor and physiotherapists are really good, but they're often too much focusing on the symptom and not looking at the body from the head to the toe. And
Yeah.
it's why we don't have any magical technique. There is nothing. We use chiro technique, physio technique, soft tissue. Mainly, we have some specific technique to us, but osteopathy is really a complete approach from the head to the toe and not just focusing on the symptom, really focusing on the root cause of the problem. And it's really the biggest difference between osteopath, physio, chiro, and massage therapist.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for expanding on that. And I do see a lot of parallels here, even with mental health. And I think you and I have chatted about that. But again, in the mental health space, when we're looking at individuals, they're exhibiting certain symptoms with respect to the disorders. We'll just try to focus on the symptoms, like you said, but often it's getting down to the root cause. Where is that need for validation or approval or whatever it may be? Where is that coming from? And when you're able to help clients connect that dot with the root cause, they're able to find solutions that are more long-term and sustainable. It's not a quick fix then. And then when you're touching on the sciatica, I've also experienced that occasionally it'll flare up, but I know for me, I had a foot injury, and then I think I was compensating when I was walking because I was on crutches for 3 months, and since then, it's just occasionally it flares up. So just using myself as a personal example, what would I focus on then to deal with this pain that I occasionally have? And it could be debilitating, right? It impacts my sleep, and then it's just because I'm not sleeping well all night from that pain, it's just impacting my day and my ability to do things and show up. Um, and it causes problems with everything.
Yeah, it's a vicious circle.
Mm.
because you have pain, you can sleep. Because you can sleep, you are more tired, more stressed. And it's how we can break that. And you're right on the mental health. It's the same. The root cause, it's really important. What's the trigger? And I think for you, because you already have foot injury, did you break it or just straight?
So in my case, I tore a ligament, and then my joints got dislocated, so I had to have a couple of surgeries. But yeah, like I said, I couldn't even put any weight on it for 3 months, and like 14 years ago, and then I tore my ACL 7 years ago because of it, same leg. But then in between, I've had that sciatica flare up, and it's odd. It happens like maybe once a year or once every 2 years. But yeah.
Because you had the surgery, it's pretty sure that you have some scar tissue around your
Hmm.
ankle.
Yes.
Then working on the range of motion and your scar tissue, it's never too late to recover. So it's for sure that we can't recover for a long time. Sometimes some scar tissue are so tight that we can't do anything, but do some shockwave or massage, the deep massage to really release the mobility of the ankle. And as you just say, you turn your ligaments, I'm sure your ankle was part of the game because your
Yeah.
ankle was not moving. The knee just tried to work for everyone and you pop, and
Yeah.
I think just working on the mobility of your ankle will make a huge difference because it's the foundation of the system.
Right.
And if you can begin to do more range of motion, working on the soft tissue, go to the chiropractor, are doing often shockwave, but really asking to move the ankle, not say, maybe you can see an osteopath. I don't know if you have some osteopath in the area where you live, but really have a deep work on the ankle, I think will help your lower back and reduce the risk of flare-up. That's often with patients.
Yeah, and I've talked to many people who have similar challenges with sciatica. So again, what I'm hearing from you is for anyone who's dealing with that is perhaps looking at that range of motion, right? Somewhere it's blocked. Because again, we try to fix that. I remember like I was talking to a friend and we were both like having it flare up, and he shared some stretches with me. So the stretches would help momentarily, but the problem wasn't going away. So
Yeah,
that's the
no,
main thing, right?
it's really the
Mm.
key. I think it's as I said in the clinic, we integrate some life coaching,
Mhm.
and sometimes we understood that the chronic pain can be a way to feed some human needs. And when
Yep.
we help people to understood that their chronic pain is a bad vehicle to fill their human needs, we break the circle. And it's again working on the root cause. Why are you in a chronic pain? I don't say there is only the we
Yep.
really people are in chronic pain, but you understand in the holistic approach that emotional root cause can lead you to a chronic pain. I don't know if you know this physician, Dr. Hammer. He did, I think in Canada, we call that New German medicine.
Not
And
familiar.
this physician had testicle cancer in the 70s. And he went to a specific center where there has a lot of guys with this type of issue. And 80% or 90% of the people, he had a testicle cancer after he lost his son. And he began to look at other, and he saw that these other people had close to the same type of psychological issue. He recovered from his cancer and began to take, I think it's 10,000 files and of different patients and try to understand why was the psychological trigger will lead them in illness. And at the end of his research, to say, okay, the best answer of the brain to a stress is to create a illness. And in the 70s, and it's talk about ankle injury, knee injury, breast cancer, of many different things. He has a book like a dictionary where he really teaches some psychological things to
Yep.
illness. Me, for example, I was frustrated a few years ago and I began to do some heartburn. And when I
Yep.
understood why I was frustrated, my heartburn went away in the night, was done. I was not sleeping, taking turns, and just because the brain is completely connected. And in the 70s, everyone says, you are crazy. It's not
Yeah.
possible. But with the evolution of genetics and the epigenetics, so then depending the information you send from the brain, you are going to switch the type of protein your system is going to code. Now, this guy in the 70s were thinking he was crazy. We look at the epigenetics and we understood that the epigenetics can be influenced by your brain, but what you eat, what you do, your exercise, so many things. And it's
Yep.
like small switch. If
Yep.
you don't activate the right switch, you are going to code the wrong protein and you are
Yep.
going to be ill. And the brain and understanding the origin of your mental issue can help you to heal because your system is going to code the right type of protein because you are going to activate the right switch. And this guy was, I read some of his books and other people take over after him. But it's really interesting that this guy had this intuition in the 70s that now in 2024, we can say, okay, this guy has right.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
interesting. Epigenetics and mindset and all that are so connected.
Yeah, absolutely. The mindset piece is very crucial. And I've talked about it on this podcast, but there's a lot of research and information coming out now that the way we carry stress, the way we carry trauma, or some of the anger perhaps from the past can impact our health. It does impact our immune system. We all know that when we're in a stress state. And then a lot of these illnesses or chronic pain that you've talked about are a result of our body reacting to that stress. And it's the same with cancer, right? We all have cancer cells in our body, but some people get diagnosed with it. So what's going on? Where's the system breaking down? And then there's the other piece around mindset with epigenetics, as you touched on. We often feel like we're at the mercy of our gene, right? Like we've inherited certain genes, but that's not what we know now with epigenetic. We can completely change the outcome through our mindset. And that's something you had shared with me in terms of the work you're doing too, right? And you also mentioned like that life coaching aspect of the clinic. So what are you guys able to do then with the patients coming through if you're seeing that chronic pain and you've tried some of the other things, whether it's chiropractic work or physiotherapy, but if people are having that repetitive chronic pain from a mindset perspective, what are you doing to help these patients?
We have a, as I said, we have an online program where we explain some human needs and how the human needs, and they can do some exercise. Me, I have my certification and I spend time with my patient during the session to try to find why, because we do techniques, but we have the time to chat. And it's often just about some realization. So, oh my gosh, okay, I do that. After we work a lot with the patient about changing his habits, because I don't, everyone knows that the gym are full the 2nd of January because everyone wants to go to the gym and he's going to change his diet and he's going to eat that and he's going to do that. But in February, um, everyone is back on the couch eating chips in the evening
Yeah.
because it's too much change.
Hmm.
And our way to do things with the patient is to help change his everyday habit by a 2 minute shift
Yeah.
because it's the compound interest.
Correct.
Then we give hope and we help people to feel better with our physical technique. We have an online program about posture because I'm a big believer that improving your posture is like the foundation of the system.
Yes.
And all our patients are doing the posture program. But the fact that when you begin to show to the patient that pain is not a normal part of his life, you begin to switch and
Yes.
begin to say, okay, I can definitely, and with the tool we give, he can begin to implement new habits, new thinking. And from this new habit and new thinking, he can really go to the next step and say, okay, I can live without pain. But the biggest things of the clinic is this team approach where we really work at the beginning. It's really intense. We help the patient to try to just like, from my opinion, we don't heal the patient. We don't do anything. We just push the patient in the right direction. And after
Hmm.
it is his job to do it. But the technique we use or the program we have give the hope to the patient, say, okay, I can be right of this pain. I can do things. I can,
Yeah.
for example, I have patients coming to see me and they say, I can't do anything. And say, what do you mean by I can't do anything? Say, I can't walk, I can't run, I can't go to the gym, I can't. And I say, how did you come here? I say, I took my car. Okay, you drove your car. And after from the parking spot to come here, did you walk to come to the clinic? I said, yeah, your parking is crowded and I can't find a spot close to to your clinic. Then, yeah, I walk. Say, okay, you can walk. And so, yes, all right. So, okay, next time you come to the clinic, you don't park close. You park as far as possible from the parking lot and you walk to the clinic. And so, okay, I will do that. And when you begin to switch the mindset about I can't, but now I can do a little bit, the first time you walk 5 minutes, but the next
Yeah.
time we walk 10 and 15. And after a few weeks, you can walk 1 hour feeling great because it's not like doing anything, stay in your coach and say, you know what, I'm going to do an Ironman. Tomorrow, I'm sitting up, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And it's just a 2 image shift than you had every day in your everyday life. And it's how we work in the clinic. So you don't need to change anything. We give a lot of information, but on the 10 programs we are going to give you, just read one. For example, we have a diet, anti-inflammatory diet, and we give to our patients that they don't need to follow the diet. But if they just spend 2 minutes to check what's the type of nutrition can increase your inflammation and remove that from next time you open your fridge and you look at that and say, maybe not this one, I'm going to take this one. The
Yeah.
20-minute shift you are going to do is the compound interest
Yeah.
for your health on the long run. And it's how we work. We give a lot of information because knowledge is, for me, is possible power, but
Hmm.
action is power.
Yeah.
And when you give knowledge, they are aware. So yeah, he talked to me about that. And he can go back. And it's why the online program for us is a big piece of the system because they can't call us all the time, say, hey, you know what? You talked about that last time. Can we chat about that? Say, I'm
Yeah.
busy, I have patients now. But the online program is a way to help them to go to the next step with a 2 minute shift. You don't need to change all your life, but you can just do that. You want to paint your house, are you going to paint your house fully or just begin with a room and the next one and the next one?
Right.
And it's really how we work in the clinic. You don't need to change everything. We give you information, but try to implement one thing this week. You want to implement two? I will be three. I will be over the moon, but just try slowly. And it's the approach we are. It's a 2 minute shift.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And we are creatures of habit. So it is tough. And like you said, for a lot of people, that New Year's resolution is too much of a change at once. And those incremental changes, the 1% a day, we've all kind of heard about it or some form or variation of that rule over 365 days can be a huge change. And we don't look at the small incremental changes we can make every day. We want too much at once. And that's where we fall short. So I appreciate you sharing that. And again, it comes back to your mindset. And what I'm hearing from you in terms of having that online program, you're giving the patients also own ability or agency to take on their own well-being and bring about change with some of the things they can do. There are a couple of things you touched on, and I'm wondering if we can tie them together in terms of, let's start with posture. So you talked about the importance of posture. I don't think a lot of people focus on it. We're all, or majority of us, will often sit at our desk all day, which that it's very detrimental to our posture because we're not supposed to be doing that. We're supposed to be, again, by being sedentary, there are obviously unintended consequences that come from that. And yeah, in general, I don't think a lot of people talk about their posture or focus on it. And there are certain things we can do. I know for me, yoga, often doing that on a regular basis helps with the posture thing. And I do recognize how much I've been compensating by sitting at a desk all day. So why, I guess the first question is, why does posture play such an important role in terms of what you're looking at? And how can people then become more aware of it and do the different things to help? So two questions there.
Posture for me is the foundation of the system. If we look at the anatomy side, we are a biomechanic stuff with joint, fascia, and when if I can do a comparison with, I really like comparison or example. If the foundation of your house is not straight, the pipe, the electric wire, and the pipe are not going to go correctly. They are going to have strength on it. When I talk about electric in your house, I'm talking about your neurological system in your body and your vascular system, arteries and veins. If you begin to be in the wrong posture, the blood flow in the system is going to go down. And if the system is going down and not working as well than if you will be in the right posture, you will begin to reduce the blood flow in some area of your body. Your system is going to work less, and some toxins are going to increase in your system because the blood flow is not washing the system. Then on the biological side, it's really that where we are looking. But many people all often say the posture is the upper back. To have a good posture, I need to increase my upper back. But again, your posture is come your foot. If your foot is not correctly on the ground, all the rope and the fascia in the system are going to be not correct. And in our program, when we do the posture program, we start from the toe. We start from the foot and going up to realign the system. But at the same time, as you said, yoga, it's helping, but I think there is no good posture, is the ability to change your posture. If I'm always bent over, leanch over, and I can't even stand up, I have a problem. I have some tightness in the front and all that. And the program we give, it's from the toe to the head to help the system to be realigned, because your body to work well needs to be aligned for the blood flow, for the nerve. And on the other side, there is some study which show that people in bad posture have a hard time to receive bad news. When you are in a wrong posture, your ability to receive bad news is going down. Then bad posture gives you more stress, and
Yeah.
And the posture on the mental side is a big thing too. I don't know if you know the story about the power pose,
Yes.
where they show that when you open your chest and you bring your arm and you are in the
Yeah.
power pose, you increase your testosterone and so many hormone to help you to feel better. And the posture is be in your power pose all day long. If you are leech over and not, and I always, I follow a lot Tony Robbins, and he's talking about the triad, and it's physiology, focus, and meaning. What you say, when you look at someone who is depressed, you don't need to ask if he's depressed. You already know by his body language that
Yeah.
something is going wrong. And changing the posture is a way to help you to change your mood and mind and all that. And it's why posture for us, it's really important, because there is the physical side, but there is the mental side about posture too.
Yeah. And I think as you're sharing that, it's like the idea of what came first, the chicken or the egg. So maybe it's the bad posture is impacting your mental health further, or the mental health is obviously impacting your posture, but they could probably be both causing each other, right? And working
Yeah.
in tandem. So I could definitely see that a lot of the times when I see clients, you could tell what kind of day they've had, what they're struggling with when they just walk in through their posture. So one of the things you did touch on there, though, was starting with your foot and how your foot's being placed on the ground. What does that mean? Like, how can people become more aware of that or even improve their posture simply by focusing on that placement of their
There is
foot?
a simple exercise, just focusing about where you feel more pressure in the system. When you are on the foot, I think you are sit down now, but I'm standing up. When I'm on my foot, I can see that my right heel, I have more pressure in my right heel and less pressure in my front foot. Then there is something not going well. Often when you have this feeling, helping the do some psoas stretching is
Yeah.
going to help you to just be more even between your foot. At the same time, be able to do some mobilization of your foot. Take your foot and move it, massage your foot, helping your ankle, as we just chatted before. The mobility of your ankle is going to play too on back pain and all that, and be able to move your foot a little bit more. If you live in a nice weather country, go
Mhm.
to walk barefoot on the beach,
Yeah.
because it's really a good exercise to help. But walking barefoot during the day can make a huge difference too. And after calf stretching, hamstring, and psoas, at least if you do that, it will help the legs to be more aligned. Do yoga, but I'm a big fan of Pilates, because Pilates is the balance between strength and flexibility. And health is part of the game. If you have the strength and flexibility in the system, you are in better shape than if you are too flexible or too strong. We can see people coming in with injury because they go to the gym every day, but stretching is a bad word for them and they don't
Yeah.
stretch.
Yeah.
But for the posture and the feet, be able to really feel your feet and do some stretching on, often it's more the back of the leg, is going to realign your foot, and just be aware about that. When you are standing up, try to say, okay, where is my biggest pressure point? Okay, my biggest pressure point is on the front. Okay, try to just realign the system. And
Right.
it's a good exercise. What we were doing to using scale, two scales, and you put your feet on the two scales and you try to see if you put more weight on one or the other. That's another good exercise to really
Yes.
say, okay, I put too much on the right. Okay, let's put more left. and try to record in your body the feeling you have when you are balanced. And when you begin to record that, it's proprioception. When you begin to record, okay, now I'm balanced, because before I told you, okay, now my 2 feet are right on the ground. Okay, I can feel this and be able to naturally, because at the beginning you will need to think about, but slowly your system is going to be able to just say, hey, you are not in line. But
Yeah.
just few exercise with the feet, mobilization, some stretching will make a huge difference.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So what I'm hearing here is obviously you want to be balanced between both sides, but in terms of the pressure on your feet, where are you supposed to be? Is that I'm assuming it's balanced, but should you be feeling the most pressure on your front or your heel, or is it balanced? Sort of.
The best will be even. Really try to have the same, because if you speak about trainer, when they run too much on the heel, they are more issue. But in the running side, we ask people to run more on the front of the foot. But in your everyday life, really try to be even between front and back. Normally, you don't need to have any feeling of pressure in your inside foot, because with the arch, normally there is no pressure there. If you have pressure there, often it's because there is a flat feet or something like that.
Yeah.
And you need, there is some technique to help the flat feet, but often is more orthosis stuff than you need orthosis to help you to have your foot a little bit better. But there is some techniques in chiropractic or osteopathy where we can help the flat foot to be a little bit a better half with
Mhm.
some taping techniques. But normally, in the ideal world, even will be the
Yeah.
way. Try to have the same pressure from back and a little bit outside, and really try to have this even feeling on your feet. If you are too much on the front, I had a patient 2 or 3 weeks ago. She has inflammation in the feet because she was putting too much pressure on the top of the foot, but she had a lower back issue and she was putting too much pressure. And at the end, she had a lot of pain in the on the top of the foot because she was too much pressure. You don't, if, if the weight is not correctly put all on the foot, you are going to increase the risk of injury, because too much pressure on one spot is going to increase the risk of pain.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember when I was recovering from my injuries, the physiotherapist I was working with, they showed me a lot of balancing exercises, and that really helped. I think even on a Bosu ball, I think if you can do some balancing, you can get a good feel, like you said, the proprioception of where do you feel the most balance. And that could be a good, I think, indicator of if you're placing that weight evenly on your feet.
Yeah, no, that's make a huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the third piece, so I know when you and I chatted offline, you talked about the three main pillars for you. We've talked about posture, we've talked about mindset. I know you touched on diet briefly, and the kind of being aware of if your choice of food or certain choices you're making around your diet are causing inflammation. I've done various episodes on diet and gut health and functional health. But how do you, from your perspective, when you look at the body as a whole integrated system, where does diet fit in and why is it important?
Is you are what you eat. And depending, again, if we look at the mental health, what you are going to eat is going to change
Yeah.
how you are going to feel. You just say a good point about gut health. We have the brain gut axis is a big thing. Your gut health is going to change how your brain is going to process and how it's going to work. And so many things are related with your gut brain axis. Our way to see nutrition is really about inflammation, because we care about people with chronic pain or acute pain. and what you eat, and uh, dairy products, sugar, processed food, the worst one you can even think about to think about inflammation. The other things many people think it's good is salmon or things like that for omega-3. Salmon are spending too much time in the water. They are full of heavy metal. And often when we speak about omega-3, sorry, my French is kicking back. Omega-3, we really think about a small fish, but try to bring some avocado or thing like that where you can have healthy omega-3. But our really focus is about inflammation, reducing all the things cool, or all, not all, but again, the 2 minute shift. Don't eat fries food for the next 2 weeks and you will see the difference. And we really focus on the inflammation side because, as I said again, we work on acute and chronic pain, and inflammation is often part of the game. Often you are going to have part of the body who is going to flare up and be inflamed. And because you change your diet, or it's going to help a little bit, that plus that plus that will make a difference. We are not here to say you need to lose weight,
Yeah.
because if if every obese people had back pain, it's not true.
Yeah.
It's not because you have too much weight that you are going to have back pain. It's not helping. It's not helping your knee. I'm not saying that the overweight doesn't help joint. I completely think it's not helping. But have a good diet. If we stay on the good diet, we'll reduce the inflammation in the system. And at the same time, inflammation is often a precursor of illness. Then if you can reduce the inflammation, it will help to feel better. And obese people often has inflammation too. There is a study who showed that inflammation and obesity are really related. Then, because when you have inflammation, you have acidity in the system. And when you have acidity in the system, your body is going to put fat around your organs to protect your organs against acidity. Then when you begin to reduce the inflammation, is a virtual circle. And we just focus on inflammation here because it's really our deepest work to help people to understand that what they eat is going to increase their chronic or acute pain. And it's simple, but then you can change.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I appreciate that. And I think with chronic pain and inflammation, often people just make it a part of their life and they start living with it, right? And then it's in the background, it's acute, and you're not paying attention to it. And I think there's a lot of value in what you shared here. Just being aware of it can help. And I think once you, to your point, make those small shifts and changes, and you start noticing the differences and the improvement in your health, both from a physical and mental aspect, then you realize how much damage was being done in the background, which you weren't even aware of. So I think it's important to try those things out and see how you feel. And that alone could be a motivator or some sort of reinforcement to continue with those habits and behaviors.
Yeah, no, and when you see a little bit of change, you can break this vicious circle. Then I'm going to live in pain all my life. You can really begin to see that you can be right off of the pain, just switching small habits. And when you have less pain, you are going to do more exercise, you are going to feel better. And the virtuous circle is beginning to start. And nutrition is part of the game. As I said, as you say, the three are, mindset, physical health, or posture, and nutrition are really connected. And it's why we try to bring that in the clinic, because for me, health is not only one thing. There is no magic pills, just a few things that you can tweak and it will make a huge difference.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Sylvain, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing all of this with us and educating us. Very much appreciated. Is there anything else you feel like we haven't touched on that could be of value to the listeners as part of the work you do?
We, I'm launching a book about this, about the importance of mindset, nutrition, exercise, and really push that on the scientific side, because with my background, I like scientific proof. But in the past few years, I begin to meditate way more. And I think if people can think about doing meditation, just begin. And there is so many courses online and you can do it. I was not a big believer of that, but I begin to read some books from Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm sure you know him. And the relationship he's doing between meditation and quantum physics was my like to say, okay, there is a scientific proof behind that. And if people can begin to meditate more, I think it could be a 2 minute shift for them too.
Yeah.
But it's a long run. You need to practice and yeah, just add some meditation in your everyday routine. I think will make a huge difference to health.
Yeah.
And there is Joe Dispenza, but the one I really like is the Shiva Ultramind method. I don't know if you,
Oh, I'm not
this
familiar with that
method.
one. No.
And there is a easy book to read. There is a bunch of online course that you can take. There is one on Mind Valley, I think. Yeah, I'm sure Mind Valley.
Yeah.
And where it's learning how to meditate in an active way. And that's really a good, I think meditation for me will be maybe the last word.
Yeah.
The mind is an incredible system. Is
Yeah.
able to do so many good things and so many bad things, but be able to control your mind will make a huge difference in your everyday life.
Absolutely. No, thank you. Thank you for adding that in there for sure. It's all part of that mindset piece that you touched on previously. What are some ways listeners can find your work or get a hold of you if they wanted to learn more about what you're doing?
Site at moncusoclinic.com. As I said, we are launching online program that normally we are just reserving that to our in-person people, but we begin to see that we can do online evaluation and help people online. And we are going to launch some online assessment and so many things that we can do with the technology today. And they can go on the website at moncusoclinic.com. They can book online if they are in New Brunswick or things like that. They can come to see us in Moncton. But if they are not around, they can definitely contact us by email or book our free online consultation, because our way to do things at the clinic is we always do a free evaluation at the beginning to be sure that we are going to tailor-made your treatment for you and be able to be sure that we are going to be able to help you. If you come to see us with a fracture, you say, I'm sorry, but there is no miracle there, and it's more the emergency. But it's extreme cases. But we always begin with a free evaluation to see if we can help them and tailor-made their program to be sure that they will feel good and have result with us.
Yeah.
And if they want, they can just book a free online consultation, and we can put together some online program to help them to feel better.
Okay. No, that's great. I'll put that in the show notes. But thank you again for coming on here and sharing all of that with us.
I can send you an ebook we just did where we spoke about our methodology and how we do things here. Then I will send you that by email. Then you can share that with, or I will do a capture page and people can download the ebook.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks.